the Grizz cannot shoot. And according to their coach, there's no intensity. They lose their fourth game in a row. Our friend, the TV voice of the Grizz, Pete Pranica, will join us momentarily. We will talk about the game with Houston. The experts at USA Today, Landon Schmidt, you're going to like this. There's 6 guys who predict who's going to make the college football playoffs, who's going to win each week in top 25 games. 5 of the 6 predicted that the Tigers would beat Tulane tomorrow night, which is interesting. Yesterday, Ryan Silverfield said, when asked about comparisons with USF, which, by the way, in my predictions, as I went over every schedule, they would play USF again in the championship game. But he said, offensive line and defense, Tulane gets the nod over the Bulls, which means the Tigers will have their hands full. I see that line has gone from 6.5 to 5.5. So people are starting to believe more in the Tigers. Speaking of Memphis and the Tigers, the basketball team had a interesting press conference yesterday. I got to give Penny a lot of credit. He never shies away from really what's on his mind. So yesterday he said, yeah, I got concerns. We got 15 new guys. They sure didn't play very well in the exhibition games. Heck, they've given up 99.5 points a game. I round up to 100. That's not defense, and that's what this team was supposed to have as its calling card. And maybe to make matters even worse, this kind of bugs me. Quante Berry, who I like, who I think is going to be a real contributor, who started a bunch of games at Temple last year and averaged double figures, who does play hard defense, who's physical. Quante Berry said, oh, yeah, we had a team meeting on Tuesday. We've nipped it all in the bud. What's there to nip in the bud? You've played 2 exhibition games. It's also a little troublesome. They didn't really put in their offense. They've been working a lot on defense, and they give it up 100 a game. Now, I know Penny. He absolutely gets his teams to play down the stretch more than in October. Don't forget, last year they were 0-2 in exhibition games too, but they were more competitive in those 2 games than they were. And he himself said, we were competitive for the first 10 minutes of the Arkansas game, and since then, nothing. The most thing that I'm concerned about is their fight, because it looks to me like the last 7 minutes against Arkansas they gave up. I'm not sure they didn't give up the whole game in Atlanta against Auburn. And quite truthfully, I didn't see the game, so I can't make an honest judgment about it. That's the last game I think I miss because of football conflicts, unless Tigers are in the championship or in the playoffs, then I think there could be an issue. But anyway, they play on Saturday against the San Francisco team that beat the heck out of another team earlier. I don't know who will be favored in that game. It'll be interesting to see. But Penny gives me a lot of concern by his comments of concern. Just a few stories before we talk Grizz, and it was ugly last night. You can't shoot 38%, 33% from 3 and get killed in the paint 60-40 and give up 124 points. You know that the Grizzlies are tied as the second with New Orleans. Only Washington is worse at points given up in the league at just under 121 a game. And Isolo was talking mainly about defense. And the main shooters on this team yesterday, I'm talking Wells, Ja, KCP, Triple J, and Coward. You know what their 3-line was yesterday?
Couldn't have been as bad as it was Monday.
Worse.
Less than 0?
Oh, they were 0. They didn't make 1? I thought they made...
No, our guards for shooting threes were 0% across the board.
Well, they were 15% yesterday. They were 3 for 20.
Can we call that slight improvement?
I don't know that I'd go there. I don't know that I'd go there. I had a couple of stories. One, there's a tragedy in the National Football League world today. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealand, only 24 years old, has been playing in the games, played last week. Suddenly has died at that early age of 24, and we have not heard a cause of death yet.
I think speculation was saying it was something with a car accident.
Well, then they would have announced that already.
Yeah,
That's
all I've heard.
It makes me think of worse things. I'm not going to say them.
Yeah,
but I think most people know when there is not a cause of death, there is usually something that you're keeping private for a while. It will come out.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. I think if it was a car accident, we'd know already.
That'd be forthcoming.
Yeah. Good news. Alex Ovechkin, 900th goal. What a milestone. He's the number one goal scorer in the history of the National Hockey League. 40 years old, still playing okay. That was his third goal this year. 40. He had already become last year the number one goal scorer of all time, passing the great one, Wayne Gretzky. And I don't think that I'll ever see 900 goals again. I mean, that's 900 goals. I don't know. Can he play like 3-4 more years and get to if he plays as long as Gordie Howe did, who played with his sons at the age of 50? Of course, that was in the rival WHA, which some of those teams became National Hockey League teams. He could get to 1,000. I don't think he'll get that. But
that would be impressive.
I'm just saying, who would have ever thought anybody get to 900 goals? That's crazy stuff. And then this last story, and I don't know really, honestly, I'm saddened by it, and I don't really know exactly what to say about it, other than I hope he gets help. But we have all celebrated Tony Allen. We've celebrated in the last 2 years, despite other issues with the law and with fraud. We have celebrated Tony Allen. His jersey hanging in the rafters, and just not a month ago, selected into what I think was the 5th class of the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame. And everybody from Grit and Grind is going to get into the Hall of Fame, or at least the 4 stars, and Lionel Hollins is already in. But yesterday, Tony Allen, a passenger in a car in Arkansas, Painway, Arkansas, stopped. I don't know why they were stopped. Apparently, if you got a Shelby County plate, according to a lot of people that write on the message boards or the threads of the Daily Memphian story, say it's a speed trap and they look for Shelby County people. So maybe he was going too fast. They smelled marijuana, of which Tony Allen had possession of. That's pretty minor. Not so minor in the passenger seat where Tony Allen was sitting. Could be circumstantial. All this is alleged, but they found cocaine, or they found a white powder which tested out to be cocaine. So I don't know what will happen with all of this. I think he's still in jail. They're setting bail. He's going to be released either today or tomorrow even. So he's already been in jail for a while. A guy we have celebrated twice in the last year or so in jail for possession of cocaine. That is the worst part, and the minor one, the marijuana possession. Like I say, I don't really know what you say about this. You're just saddened by this news. I sit in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder to all of you, we've switched sales. Now we've got the hot tub and swim spa clearance sale. And there's good deals. Like under $2,500 for the hot tubs. The big swim spas, they start at under $15,000. The best part for me, in-stock patio furniture up to 50% off. State-of-the-art stuff here. Newest fabrics, newest designs, 50% off. If it's in stock, you got it. Please, go see Lindsay, go see Billy, go say hello, and tell them we sent you, because if you do, you get a free gift with a hot tub purchase. If you just say Sports 56, I'd get to I-40 and Wooden Road. I'd go see the folks at Family Leisure. We bring in Pete Pranica, of course, did the Core 4 games on TV. Very quickly, we'll get into the game and all that. But any thoughts you might have on the sad news on Tony Allen?
Well, exactly what you said, Wolo. It's sad. Tony obviously was one of the core four and meant so much to the city. And to see that news just before the game last night was a real gut punch.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if that affected the team. He was never teammates with anybody, I don't think, on this Grizzlies roster.
No.
But he's been around because he comes to the games. He's a Memphian now. We've all celebrated him. So, I guess in my heart, all I can say is, Tony, you're so loved. Please get some help. And I hope that is the case. All right, let's go to last night. Not a lot of drama, but not a lot of joy either. And, you just look. There's a couple of things that just strike you. 38% shooting, 33% from three. But it's worse when you look at the guys you're expected to hit threes. Wells, KCP, Triple J, Aldama, Coward, even Ja, even though he's in the biggest shooting slump of all. Those guys, those that you're really counting on, were 3 of 20 from downtown. And they gave up 124 points. If you look at their numbers, they are tied for the second worst defensive team in terms of giving up points. Only Washington is worse. They give up almost 121. That is tied with New Orleans. A team that was going to be a very good defensive team has not been so far. Those problems, are they solvable, Pete?
Well, getting Jack Edey would be a help.
Yeah.
That. And hopefully that's going to be sooner rather than later. I'm not really sure, but there have been a lot of defensive breakdowns. Whether that is the communication's not there, I don't know if it's scheme, if it's communication, if it's talent level. To mitigate that a little bit, I mean, Houston had a run of 125-point games. They've been beating teams by 20 in this winning streak. They're the best offensive team. They're shooting well above their norms. But defense is clearly a problem because you've lost these games and everybody's shooting 50% against you. So I think the Edey absence diminishes Jaren Jackson Jr.'s ability to block shots and to protect the rim, and Edey himself can protect the rim. I think that is got to be part of it. You are working with a lineup that you did not expect that you were going to have, and it needs to be better. Tomas said, hey, we want playing against us like going to the dentist. That's not been the experience so far for the other teams. They've by and large pretty much had their way offensively.
And if we're really trying to assess this and be fair, because you are missing so many people, that's 4 losses in a row. They're 3-6 now. How much of that do you think is schedule influence? Because look who they've played in these games. Really good teams. I mean, I think Detroit's really going to be a good team. There's no doubt Houston, tallest team in the league, is a good team. The Lakers, they beat San Antonio last night. They're a pretty, I don't know how Riddick is doing it, but they're a pretty good team with missing pieces as well. How much of this is Memphis and the way they're playing, or they're really playing a very difficult stretch of their schedule?
It's a combination of both, as you would expect. I mean, Houston right now is on an incredible heater. They're the number 1 rated offensive team in the league. They're the best rebounding team in the league. I do the ranks before every game, and there are a lot of single digits in front of their numbers. So they're an outstanding basketball team and have an opportunity, I think, to challenge for the Western Conference Championship. So that's part of it. Then again, you look at how well they played. Probably the best half of basketball they played all year was the first half against the Lakers, particularly that second quarter.
Yeah.
So it can be done. The talent is there. Ultimately, as has famously been said, it's a make or miss league. And when you're not making perimeter jump shots, and I'm not talking strictly threes, but even twos, if you're not making anything outside 15 feet, well, the defense is just going to pack it in, and now good luck trying to score in the paint. And the inability to create space in the half court, the inability to make shots in the half court, I think that has severely hurt the offensive effort for this Grizzlies group because it seems like everybody outside of Cam Spencer's in a shooting slump, and that has to be rectified. It has to get better, or otherwise it's going to be tough sledding. Dallas is struggling as well. They're 2-6. They're coming in here on Friday, and then you see Oklahoma City coming in on Sunday. We all knew walking into this homestand this was going to be a particularly difficult homestand, and it is proven to be exactly that.
Okay, you mentioned the Lakers game, the best quarter they played, second quarter there, and yet at halftime something occurred. It's pretty obvious, and all this drama with Ja. Your thoughts on that and how they will proceed? It appeared last night that Ja was more normal than he had been after the second half of the Lakers and after the game on Monday against Detroit.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. People want to move on. The thing that people don't realize, because they might have not been at the end of season media availability, is Morant praised Tomas for being direct and for holding people accountable, and basically made a pitch for Tomas to have the interim tag removed and be the full-time head coach. So, where there's some bruised feelings, yes. The other piece of it, and Tomas touched on this in his comments post-game last night, when you're not winning, you're not making shots, your confidence is going to suffer. And this looks like a team-wide, where the confidence is not where it needs to be. John, his post-game comments last night, took responsibility. Hey, I need to be better. I need to be better defensively, offensively. I need to be better at finding pockets of space for myself and for other guys. So, everything seemingly could be solved if you beat Dallas on Friday night and you turn in a really good performance, and all of a sudden you start feeling good about yourself. When you're missing shots and you're missing as many as the Grizzlies are, your confidence is going to wane. But you can't hang your head, and you have to have that, as Taylor Jenkins was always talking about, the next play mentality. So, a little bit more back to normal, no drama, but still, it's one of those like, dang, could we get a break? Could we get a shot to fall?
No.
And how many rebounds that the Grizzlies were the first to the ball but couldn't secure it? And it's just a team-wide funk right now, and hopefully they can snap out of it tomorrow.
I will say I was, I don't know if pleased is the right word, but certainly noticed that Ja took accountability last night. He said it was on me, and I've not heard him say that very much in the past. So to me, that was a positive sign. Now, you mentioned all the shots, and they're not going. Sometimes it's the people who are taking the shots. I don't understand. You please explain to me. Your second best player is Jaren Jackson Jr., and we know he's making a lot of money. And Jaren, who averaged 16 and a half shots, I think 2 years ago, took 6 shots last night, one in the first half. I know Tomas Isola has already said we got to fix that. What do you think is the reason for the lack of opportunities for the big guy?
That's a mystery for the ages. Because Jaren was the guy after the loss to Detroit saying we need a greater sense of urgency, and team wide, I didn't see it the way that Jaren called for it. First couple of possessions, they tried to go to him. Houston goes with the Oklahoma City strategy of putting a small guy on him and Josh Okogie, low center of gravity, physical, pushing from behind, steals the ball a couple of times. And again, it's that I get a sense, Wolo, it's the lack of confidence. Like, well, we tried that and it didn't work, so we're going to try something else. And no, you need to force feed him. You need to throw it to 8 and let him go to work. It's a different offensive system. He's being asked to screen a little bit more. And the other thing, again, and I don't mean that Zach Edey is going to be the panacea that's going to cure all this, but when you got another big guy, remember when Steven Adams would go and he'd screen for guys to get to the rim? You don't have that now. And so Jaren's trying to create shots on his own, and I think he is in a better position when he's able to play off of others, and that hasn't happened. Again, because the Grizzlies not hitting outside shots, the paint is particularly crowded, and that's where Jaren does his best work.
Charles Bassey, in a very small sample size, has come in and actually on the 10 day has played pretty darn well. I don't know that he is the answer. When Edey comes back, obviously he's the starter. Maybe he's a better backup than Landale is. I don't know. Landale has had some productive nights, but the Bassey 10-day is over. What will they do about Charles?
I think that's going to be a function of how close Zach Edey is to returning, because in order to have that 10-day again, you need to have 4 players that will be out for 2 more weeks. Well, Zach Edey going to be out for 2 more weeks. If he's going to return within the next 2 weeks, then you can't resign Bassey to a hardship 10-day. So that, I think, will tell us if Bassey is not re-signed to a second 10-day, it tells me and the rest of the world that Zach Edey is going to be back inside of 2 weeks.
The other nice spot has been Cam Spencer, who, had good moments a little bit last year, now getting more of an opportunity, has his own deal, not a two-way. What do you think he ends up being for the Grizzlies this year?
I think he ends up being a really good role player. Not a ball handler, not a lead guard. The Grizzlies, because of the suspension to Morant, had to put him in the starting lineup as a lead guard against Toronto, and he struggled in that role. But as a guy who can be a secondary ball handler, decent playmaker, obviously a shot maker as well, and playing with extreme confidence right now, and he's shooting the ball as well as he ever has since he has been in Memphis. The kid's a hard worker. I mean, he is a great role player and has worked himself into a rotational role with this particular group. When you start getting guys back, whether that's Pippen Jr. or Ty Jerome, Jerome's return will be quicker than Scotty's, obviously. Remains to be seen, but that's the benefit, if you will, of having all these injuries, is that you can uncover some guys and put them in a brighter spotlight, and they can perform, which obviously Cam has done in the last 2 games.
And he's a winner. He won a national title. Let's not forget that, with UConn and Danny Hurley. All right, last question. It has to do with the comments by Isolo last night in terms of consistent intensity. Does that trouble you? How do you get your team at the NBA level to play hard for 48 minutes?
That is something that every coach wants. Again, I think it goes back to, hey, can you hit some shots? Can you instill some confidence? Because if you're not playing confidently, you're going to play harder. But if you keep looking up and the ball's bouncing off the rim and going to the other team, your heads droop a little bit, and that's why the Taylor Jenkins philosophy, next play, next play, next play, I think they have to play with more of an edge. And coach can only talk about it so much. Ultimately, the players have to do it. And it's back to what happened last year with Taylor Jenkins. He was always talking about more intensity, greater intensity. So why this group isn't playing with the requisite intensity is something that, I'm not really sure what the answer is, but that lies with the players. Tuomas and Taylor before him, you can talk about it all you want, but ultimately the guys on the floor are the ones that have to actually do it.
No doubt. Good luck tomorrow night against Cooper Flagg and the Mavericks. They're not playing so well, so maybe here's where you end this streak.
That's the hope.
Yep. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk next Thursday.
Sounds good.
That is our guy. That is Pete Prenica. He is the TV voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. You know about this great organization now. They've been around over 70 years. They're on their 3rd generation. Ken Sr. started it. Ken Jr.'s been running it for a long time now. And Williams, the 3rd generation, and he's been entrenched for a couple of years. One thing they all have in common, little details, big picture. That's what great builders have. And not only do they build great homes, they renovate homes. They bring in all the modern amenities. I call it renovation with innovation. If you want the smart technology, if you want the theater room with the speakers in the wall and the big theater seating, they know how to do that. If you want the California closets, the island in the kitchen, the special countertops, they got it all. They are specialists when it comes to renovation with the innovation, so you stay in your own lot. And the thing that I love about them the most once you do a job with them, they're like family. It's never done. You got an issue, they're right there on the spot to rescue you. They're the place to go. Ken Garland, custombuilders.com. Go to that website, check that out, and then give them a call. You'll love chatting with them. Little details, big picture. That's what you get with Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We take a break. When we come back, we will head to Columbus, Ohio. The Sporting News college football writer. He's, by the way, president of the College Football Writers Association. That would be Bill Bender. And we got lots to talk about when we come back.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Listen up, Rebel fans. Your next winning drive starts at Landers Ford in Collierville. Their game plan is simple. Find you the most savings possible. Make a trade, lower your payments, or let them buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from them. That's how you keep moving the chains. Just like the Grove on game day. Fans all across the Mid-South keep coming back to the #1 Ford dealership in Greater Memphis. See them today in Collierville or online at LandersFordMemphis.com. When you own a Landers Ford, you get the support of a certified service tech with the Landers Ford Remote Service Experience Program. They pick it up, drop it off, or fix it on the spot, so you're never left watching from the sidelines. To finish the drive, the iconic Landers Easy Pass always brings more for your trade and the biggest discounts to put you in victory formation. And now, straight from the 1977 Ole Miss football team that took down #1 ranked Notre Dame, the final snap of the day from Landers Ford President Don Kitchens.
If it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
As reported on Ford's 2024 Total New Vehicle Retail Sales Report, Memphis Market.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis has serious vans for serious work. At 4430 American Way, they are the Mid-South source for cargo, passenger, crew vans, and custom chassis. Need one or a full fleet? New or used, they've got it. With fleet solutions and custom upfits. Certified techs keep you moving with fast maintenance, repairs, and a large parts inventory. Mercedes-Benz Van Center is your Sprinter Van headquarters. 901-237-9302 or sprintervans.com. Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis, part of the Tag Truck Center family. Driven to keep you on the road.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We head to Columbus, Ohio. President of the College Football Writers Association, also football writer for Sporting News. That would be the one and only Bill Bender, and Bill has seen the light, ladies and gentlemen. This week, he has Memphis as the G5 representative in the college football playoffs. I am so glad you've now become a believer, Bill Bender.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dave.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great. I just said I'm glad you've become a believer now.
You know, it was a big win, obviously, against Rice, and then, you know, Navy loses to North Texas. I really like where Memphis is. And I wanted to ask you something. I found this interesting. There's no G5 team ranked in the CFP rankings, and I actually didn't know that they, at that point, the committee would just decide, hey, Memphis is in. You know what I mean? I think that's an interesting wrinkle to the rankings. I wasn't surprised they didn't rank a G5 team, but, you know, that's something to know for later, just in case.
Well, I was surprised because Memphis is in the rankings in both the polls by the AP and by the coaches. So I sort of was surprised they weren't like 25 and just to keep them at 25 to say, look, this is going to be our 12 seed. But apparently, I don't know what they do. Do they go by Ken Palm? Do they go by some sort of strength of schedule thing? I don't know what they do.
Well, so a couple things. I didn't think Tennessee with three losses should be ranked. And I would have put Memphis in that spot or a spot or two higher. Like you said, they were in both polls. But the committee traditionally undervalues the group of five for whatever reason. They do. I mean, you look at that over the years. There was a point where, Western Michigan, when they went undefeated, they didn't get much respect and so on. But I do think these American Conference schools, Memphis, South Florida, North Texas, that was an impressive win, and Navy. I mean, whoever wins that conference is probably going to have that inside shot. The only team I'm looking at outside of that interests me is San Diego State. I mean, the Aztecs have a really good defense. They have the one loss in the Mountain West Conference. They play at Hawaii this week. If you're scoreboard watching other conferences out of the G5, I would keep an eye on San Diego State.
Well, I think you can make a point. Not at this time. Other American teams would have to fall, and there's so many at the top. I don't think there would be enough that could fall that they would replace an American team. But they've got at Hawaii, and they got to play Boise. So those are two potential losses for San Diego State. James Madison is another one they keep mentioning, and James Madison's got two tough games, one against number 2 in the Sun Belt and number 4 in the Sun Belt, and I think they're both on the road. So, JMU is not a lock either. So I do believe it would be a huge upset if it's not from the group of 5. Question for you, because I'm really not sure, and you mentioned the lack of respect for G5. Is there a G5 affiliated member of the College Football Playoff Committee?
No, I don't have the committee in front. I'm blanking on that. I don't think so.
Which would tell you why there's no respect.
Right, and I've seen this over the years. Like I said, they undervalue those schools. Now, the other possibility that I've been thinking about is that, there's a lot of games, big games, to be played among these American Conference teams. So what if I think there's also the possibility that a 2-loss G5 team could get in. Whether it was, let's say Memphis were to lose. I shouldn't say that on your station. I'm sorry. I know we don't want to have that happen.
No, that's okay. Because seriously, first off, Memphis has the toughest road within the conference. They're of the 1-loss teams, 6 of them. Of course, they're 1. They've played 4 of the other 5, whereas North Texas has only played 2 of the 6. So
and you're playing Tulane, right? And you got Navy. So.
And East Carolina, that's also 3-1 or 4-1 in the league.
Lost American champion get in the playoff, and I think it's very possible because you just mentioned San Diego State's past. James Madison, I know, like you said, they're being mentioned as well. But that American Conference, they've all played schedule. And like South Florida, for example, I know we talked about them last week. South Florida has a good Power 4 win. Memphis has a good Power 4 win. And, Navy will be in the spotlight this weekend against Notre Dame. I don't know that they're 24.5 point underdogs, so I don't think they're going to win. But, they still only have one conference loss. So there's plenty of intrigue in that conference. I know you guys are all over it. I still like Memphis. I do have them in there. I actually thought about you when I typed that in on Saturday.
Well, don't forget, not only you have to get to that championship game, you got to win that championship game. Now, the way I've kind of gone through the schedules and everything, I've got Memphis and USF playing again for the title game. That would be a toss-up game, and I think the winner of that will end up in the playoffs, if indeed that is the way it works out. You made a case for Notre Dame being in. I am one of those crazy people, maybe it's envy, but I've always felt that there is such an unfair advantage and bias toward the Irish. You've got them in over Miami. Miami beat them head-to-head. I get that Miami's lost a game or two here, but Why is Notre Dame in? They lose the first two games, and other than USC, who have they beaten that makes you believe they should be in? And I know they're going to get in because they're Notre Dame.
Right. Well, the first part, what you just said, you know they're going to get in at 10 wins anyway. Now let's break it down. They've won 6 straight games by double digits. They've played very well since those 2 losses. I don't think the A&M loss hurts them at all because A&M is going to go 11-1 or 10-2 and get in the playoff. Yeah, I get the Miami head-to-head, and I'm a big proponent of head-to-head. I wrote that column. I said, I like that they put Oklahoma or Texas over Oklahoma and Alabama over Georgia and Georgia over Ole Miss and so on. I don't like how Miami's playing. It goes beyond the loss to Louisville. You look at that loss to SMU. You look at how C.J. Carr and Carson Beck have played the last month. And tell me who's playing better. I like Notre Dame's running game around Jeremiah Love. I like their defense. Now, what could happen here down the stretch, and I think this goes beyond this year, Dave, if they get a playoff berth, an ACC team, I think the ACC is going to look at that arrangement and be like, wait a minute, they play half their schedule against our team, and now they're stealing playoff bids from us. And in this format, let's be honest, Notre Dame at 10-2, went to a Catholic high school, I say this all the time, at 10-2, they're getting in the playoff every year. It's Notre Dame, and whether that's right or wrong or whatever metric you want to use, I think more often than not they would get in the playoff at that point.
What does Vandy got to do to get in? I know you've got them on the fence there. They almost came back and beat Texas. They look, like the game against Tennessee at the end could be a big decider for them, and they're going to be big favorites over Auburn, right? They're going to be favored against Kentucky at home. Then they got to go to Knoxville. That's a winnable game the way they're playing. I never thought I would say that, but it sure seems that way. You think there's any hope for Vandy? And in your breakdown, 4 SEC, 3 Big 10, 2 Big 12, the one from the Group of 5, the one from the ACC, and Notre Dame. Do you think that's how this thing will end up? 1 Group of 5, Notre Dame, 1 ACC, and the rest?
I do. I actually pretty confident in that breakdown. I think the Big Ten is going to be hard pressed to get that 4th team in because the best bet for that might actually be Washington. And, they've got to take care of their business. They still got to play Oregon. You mentioned Vanderbilt. They would be probably the best bet to be the 5th. Their losses aren't bad. They lost at Alabama and Texas. Diego Pavia is a baller, too. He gets after it. That was a 34-10 game that they turned into. That onside kick was on the field forever. I really thought they were going to recover that. So what they need to do is win out and hope for probably a Notre Dame loss or Big 12 implosion where maybe Texas Tech just grabs the reins and takes over that race and just makes it a one-bid league. I think one of the things with the Big 12, Texas Tech can beat their best case scenario is Texas Tech beats BYU. They do it again in the conference championship game. It's a great game, and they let both teams in.
So if that happens, there's no hope for Georgia Tech. There's no hope for Miami. There's no hope for a second ACC team.
Well, not necessarily. I just think the ACC is the ACC is last year's Big 12, where. Remember, Arizona State came out of nowhere. They weren't even ranked in the first college football playoff rankings last year. They win the conference. The ACC could have that. Duke still has a chance to win the ACC. And the problem for Miami, and it kind of goes back to this Miami Notre Dame argument, I could see Miami being 10-2 and not getting in the ACC championship game. And at that point, if they take Notre Dame over Miami, I think they would, but it will depend on how both of those teams, they both play Pitt, they both play Syracuse here down the stretch. So those will be games that will definitely get looked at.
One interesting story that I've seen today is the story of Pat Fitzgerald, who, I kind of think was wronged by Northwestern, and I think it's a great coach. And he was totally found innocent by investigations from Northwestern and everybody else that was involved in this whole hazing thing. Northwestern is starting to rebound a little bit, but my gosh, what a setback for them. Would you put Fitzgerald in the mix for some of these programs? Like, why wouldn't Penn State look at Pat Fitzgerald?
I hope he gets the job.
Vindicated is the word I was looking for. He's totally been vindicated by the school in Evanston, Illinois.
I'm not much help, am I? I could have helped you get there. Every interaction I've had with Pat Fitzgerald, you just know he's a classy guy, great coach. Took that job really early in his career, remember, when Randy Walker died, and he was very young as a first-time head coach at a time when there weren't young head coaches. So at one of the conversations that always stood out with me, and something I've remembered him saying to this day, and it was Big Ten Media Day, whatever, he was talking about recruiting quarterbacks, and he said, we recruit the dads too. You know, he was very insightful on every decision he made at Northwestern. Like you said, vindicated for sure. I could see him on a Power 4 sideline. He's still relatively young. That's the crazy part. You look at how many years he coached Northwestern, they're arguably their greatest football coach, and I think he could contribute, like at Big Ten opening. I don't think he'll go down to the SEC, but whenever Kirk Ferentz retires, Pat Fitzgerald would be a good fit there. Now, Kirk Ferentz, by the way, they're right in the middle of this playoff hunt as usual, and everybody wonders how. But you know what? Iowa can still play defense.
Yeah. So who do you like in that game?
I like Oregon, and one of the reasons why is they bumped Oregon down the rankings a little bit, and I still think they're a very good team. I know they lost to Indiana, and it's easy to, kind of push somebody to the back of the line, but they still got a nasty front on defense. They're good. In order for Iowa to pull that upset, a couple things. I heard the weather's supposed to be nasty. That helps.
Yeah.
It's beautiful in Ohio today, by the way. But and the other thing, they have to pass the ball a little bit. And if they can do that, maybe they have a chance for the upset. But Dave, that feels like a Dan Lanning special where Oregon kind of reminds everybody that they're pretty good.
I tend to agree with you. I think Oregon, I don't care what the weather is. It rains in Oregon, too.
Yeah.
I think Oregon's going to win that game. But like you say, he's always got Iowa in the mix somehow, some way. Last quick thing. Any hunch, because that's the big talk around here. I think that Lane Kiffin is going to stay at Ole Miss. I think it'll probably cost him around $13 million, but I think he's going to stay. I don't know why he would leave. He's got to go in there, and he's loved. Where do you think he ends up? Who gets the LSU job? That's the big plum job out there.
I think Lane Kiffin will stay. And I would stay if I'm Lane Kiffin. Look, if he stays there long enough and they go to the playoff a few times, he may get a statue there. They have the fourth best record among Power 4 schools the last 3 years. I've been saying that for a couple weeks now. But LSU, I think new president, new AD. John Summerall's a decent candidate, but is that a home run swing? They haven't hired outside like a Power 4 coach since Curly Howman. So I think they'll take a bigger swing than that. Maybe a guy like Jeff Brom's going to get a lot of calls, whether it's from Penn State or LSU.
I'd take him. He wins everywhere.
It's the question is, can you pull him away from his alma mater? He is a fantastic coach. He's one of my favorite coaches in all of college football because you can never say he doesn't get the most out of his team.
I'm with you. I'm a believer. I watched his Western Kentucky team beat the heck out of Memphis in a Boca Bowl several years ago. Bill, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. We'll do it again next week.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
That's Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He's brought to you by ATC Fitness. Never a full-term commitment, no processing fee. They got 18 convenient locations. They're all open 24 hours. They always have the newest equipment. They're always so clean and healthy at ATC Fitness. Your health is their top priority. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just stepping foot inside for the first time, they will help you, and they offer 2 convenient membership levels for all their gyms. Amazing amenities, and like we say, 24-hour access for all members. No reason to rearrange your schedule around the holidays. They're open. They're always open. It's always there to let you exercise your right to look good. That's what they do at ATC Fitness. We're heading downtown, and our Hall of Famer, Jarvis Greer, comes your way next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This holiday season is short. Make every moment magical with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin. Here, you'll take all your festive looks to the next level and find gifts to wow every one of your family and friends. Discover our unmatched quality, brilliant natural diamonds, and spectacular service when you shop in store or online at sissyslogcabin.com. Make this the most wonderful time of the year with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
At Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical, we've proudly served families across the Mid-South since 1958. Still family owned and operated, we're built on tradition, trust, and old-fashioned service you can count on. And now to celebrate 68 years of service, we're offering a heating tune-up for just $68. Keep your home safe, efficient, and ready for the cold months ahead. Looking to upgrade? Right now, get up to $2,000 in instant carrier cool cash rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing on select carrier systems. That means comfort and savings today and peace of mind for years to come. But that's not all. Upgrade today and take advantage of $500 off a tankless water heater or a whole home generator installation. Even more ways to protect your home and your family. Don't wait. These special offers won't last. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today and turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Memphis football is back in action Friday, November 7th, when the Tigers take on the Tulane Green Wave in our Salute to Service game. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock, and Tiger Nation, wear black. The first 2,500 fans will score a Memphis Tiger camo trucker hat thanks to Mid-South Pulmonary. Join us as we honor and celebrate all military and first responders. Be all in. Get your tickets now at gotigersgo.com/tickets.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We're heading downtown to talk to the Hall of Famer, Jarvis Greer. In just 1 minute, he's brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf, always busy. He's always got homes under contract, 2 in East Memphis, 1 in Germantown. One's on one of the busiest streets in town. In the past, that's never been a problem. He sold homes on Poplar, Walnut Grove, Park Avenue. And the only missing kind of circumstance was one on the interstate. But, you know, he actually had someone who called him about their home backing up to I-240 near Walnut Grove, which I saw. It's a really interesting house. He sold it. He really did. So wherever your home is located, that could be downtown, midtown, Germantown, Collierville, talk to 2 or 3 agents. Make sure Sheldon is one of them. His highly successful strategic marketing program can make the difference in what you make and when you make it. So reach him. It's real simple. He's got a website that tells it all, memphisrelocate.com, or you can call 483-0546. That's memphisrelocate.com. or 483-0546. It's Sheldon Rosengarten, Marks Bensdorf. He works 24/7, 365. Looks like we're having a problem getting a hold of our buddy, Jarvis Greer. He was in the meetings with us yesterday. I will say this, that concerns me about the game with Tulane. I mentioned this in our open. Ryan Silverfield has said offensive line for Tulane, better than USF's, which that's saying something. And they got they got two quarterbacks that can run. There are two guys, Jake Retzlaff, you remember him, got dismissed from BYU. They were 11-2 under him last year. Retzlaff, unfortunately, they have a moral code that he broke that has to do with premarital sex. There were some other circumstances around it. He was clear to that. But they were going to suspend him for 7 games. So he said, you know what? I'm not going that route. And because of the portal, he could do that. He could transfer. So he did. He went there. They already had a guy, Brendan Sullivan, who was there, who transferred from Iowa. Both quarterbacks play every single game. Both have thrown for passing yardage. Both have thrown for touchdowns. Both have thrown for picks. And by the way, Retzlaff got 2 picks in their loss last week at Texas San Antonio, and that is the reason why Sullivan came in, who actually moved the football team. So you got a better line than USF's. You've got 2 quarterbacks who are really good and are P4 transfers. And you've got a defense that, Ryan Silverfield said, is better than USF's. I don't know about that either. But we are going to find out. Blackout Friday night. You heard Jeff Brightwell just say in the ad. It's a blackout. I understand the pre-sale is really good. This should be, I think, in my mind, because so much is on the line, this game should outsell the Arkansas game. Now, I know it's Friday night, and I know it's up against, it's unfortunate, it's up against the Grizz and the Mavs with Cooper Flagg. I know it's up against high school playoffs, too. That's sort of a bummer. This is, of course, dictated by TV. TV audience is going to be really good because the TV audience has a lead-in of North Carolina and Kansas basketball. So that is going to be nice. Pre-sale, I just would think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I know it is the SEC. And I know Arkansas brings fans that Tulane is not going to bring the same amount. But in my mind, because of the importance of this game, when you are in the first bracket for the college football playoffs, and you know if you win out, you will be in the college football playoffs. What history that is going to make. This game is so important for that reason. And I would think this crowd would even exceed, even though Tulane will not bring as many as Arkansas, it should exceed what we saw on a Saturday morning with the Hogs. You agree?
I agree. And any time, and you've seen it over the history of Memphis, anytime SEC comes in town, that's always going to bring fans from everywhere. But with I'm hoping that around the Memphis area that people who even aren't diehard football fans saw at least a glimpse of the bracket and to say this is the first time Memphis has been part of it and to get excitement and go out and support because this is exactly what we need. So I would hope that it would be a really good crowd. I don't think we'll get a sellout like we did with Arkansas, but it is an important game.
Well, it'll be over 30. If you've got 26 as of I think it was Tuesday, I got the feeling you're going to get over 30. Mm-hmm. They had, for the Tulsa game, they had over 30,000, if I recall correctly. So I am of the opinion this one will be in the low to mid-30s, and I hope so. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. I should know this. I think they said, you could get 39,000, 38,000 for the Arkansas game? So that probably is the max that you could get. I think it should at least approach that number. Switching over to basketball. I said in the open I'm concerned because of Penny's concern. I'm concerned because you had a team meeting already. A players-only team meeting from 2 exhibition games? That's kind of interesting. And I found it, all right. Penny said concerned because of the exhibition games, which don't count, against two good teams, right? Because they didn't fight, and they didn't. I mean, really and truly, the last 10 minutes in the Arkansas game, team did not play hard. And I have no idea about Atlanta, but it sounds like they didn't play hard at all. Maybe toward the end of the second half they did, because they were at one time down 36 in that game, but they still lost by a big margin. And they gave up, pretty much 100 points per game. A team that was going to ride the coattails of defense, that would be troubling, and that's why he's concerned. And he made this statement. He said, the guys that are showing me the most the most energy, are not the guys with the most talent. Now, I have a hard time believing that would be Doug McDaniel, because he's at least statistically shown up in both games. I don't like the way he's careless with the basketball. And I think this team, for certain, has to learn how to value possessions. 23 turnovers in the game in Atlanta? You're not going to win games giving away 23 possessions. My God. So, but McDaniel seems to play with energy. He had to be talking. I'm guessing when I say this, he had to be talking about Aaron Bradshaw. And Bradshaw has really said all the right things. I came here to be pushed by Penny. Penny has told me I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do that, and I'm going to do it. And yet, I haven't seen the rebounding. Here's a guy who's 7 feet tall with a big wingspan who can jump. Tell me why, if you can jump and you've got that wingspan and that height to begin with, why you can't rebound. That has to be want to. That has to be courage to get in the paint and push a little bit.
I mean, I agree. That's kind of going back to last year, what I was disappointed with Moussa Cisse, and why the stepping up of Dane Danger was huge, is because Moussa's that big guy, but he was a gentle giant out there. He wasn't the big guy down low. He wasn't the guy that was getting in there.
He
getting
at least
rebounds.
rebounded, though. He did. He got some rebounds.
He did, but not to the degree that I think a lot of us expected him to.
Well, you know what? Here was the problem with Moussa Cisse. And I love him, and I think he's doing okay. I think he just signed a deal with somebody.
I think so.
And I'm really happy for him. He's just a great kid. The problem with Moussa Cisse was his hands.
Yes.
He just did not have hands. Mm. He could block shots. He could rebound. He could deflect stuff. He was an imposing defensive figure. Bradshaw's got hands. He's got offensive skills. To me, he's got to have the courage to go in there and be physical. And I haven't seen enough of him to really bang him on all that, but he doesn't bang. That's the problem. And he's got the body and the athleticism to do it. I think he was talking about him. I don't know if he's talking about Sincere Parker. I'm trying to think of the guys who he might be referring to, but that's troublesome.
It is. But I think too, to your point, this is also, I don't know if it's just the fire's not there because it's exhibition, because it's quote unquote preseason kind of festivities. And I mean, you look all around, preseason doesn't really tell you much. It tells you if you can ball or not. And I think with some of the fight that we saw, taking away the tail end of the games that we saw against two, as you said, really good competitions, it is exhibition. And we come to life when regular season starts. At least that's what we saw last year, and hopefully that carries into this year as well.
Yeah. We'll see. That is for certain. Like you said, they're 0-2 last year, and they won the regular season and
opened up at the Maui Invitational, looking really good.
They sure did. Yeah, it's interesting. Munzie, who will be a guest tomorrow, along with Andy Schiffman on the NBA, and we make college picks. Munzie predicted they would not win the regular season, would win the title, and get to the second round of the NCAA. I can't wait to ask him about that one when we talk tomorrow. That does it for us. Johnny Radio is right around the corner.